a lot of leaders, whether inside or outside the insurance industry, get banged on a lot because it does have that feel like they don't care. But I think they're not equipped. Like a lot of leaders don't know how to respond to
Mm.
a lady that's depressed at work or that's dealing with, a kid at home, or they might be dealing with a divorce or a husband who just dealt with this or that or whatever it might be. There's a lot going on, and I don't think leaders are equipped to handle some of that. So then we just think, oh, my boss is an ass because he doesn't care or he doesn't ask, or hey, well, we don't know. Like, we don't know how to do that. So I think it's cool. So, Eric, just to back up a little, like, Brendan's putting out some really cool material on some of this stuff. And so I think you're right on with some of this stuff, Brendan.
Yeah, it's really, I'll use an example of, like, I mean, I worked for Regan Brandt at Lost Run Pro for a very long time. And, I've always struggled with anxiety, but like, and she knew that. She's like, dude, I've never had anxiety in my life. We would talk about it. She never understood it, but she at least had empathy for that, right? And so we learned how to talk about that. That was just, but it was never something that she has. And I found it so powerful because, like, A, she gives a shit, and B, she took the time to talk about it with me to try to understand why I maybe struggle or ways she could help. But more importantly, it's just like she just asked and she was honest. Like, hey, that's not something I will ever truly understand, but that's okay. Like, I get that you struggle with that sometimes. I hear you, and you let me know when that takes place. Like, and I don't expect every leader to do that, right? Like, because work does happen, it gets in the way. But man, so powerful to be able to acknowledge that. I see you, I hear you. Maybe I don't understand it, but that doesn't mean we can't talk about it in a respectful, kind of safe
Yeah.
place where you don't feel judged.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
something you said not every leaders do it or have the time to do it. I actually would push back and say, like, every leader, if you're going to be a good leader, you have to be empathetic and you have to be curious. And I think that too many leaders are not curious about the people they interact with. They don't know how to ask the right questions. They don't have to have the answers. The problem is, as entrepreneurs, as leaders, we think that we have to have solutions, and we don't. We don't. We have to understand people. We have to be curious. We have to ask the right questions. That's what we need to be equipped with. Like, how do we ask the right questions as leaders so that people feel heard, they feel seen, and that's just the thing. We need to be taught how to be more curious.
That's good, Brendan. Thanks so much for sharing all about everything you're doing. And Eric, I
Yeah.
agree. It is having curiosity and openness. But then I think the follow up piece is how do you actually receive it? What do you do with it? Right. And to
Oh
actually
yeah.
have spaces that are safe to practice that emotional navigation, that very courageous truth telling is so critical to get those reps in of being honest with ourselves of where we're at, what we need, and how to relay that, which sounds like a big piece of what you're doing in a way that is kosher professionally, to have those needs
Yeah.
met, help people understand us so that we can work together and collaborate authentically, right? So it all
Yeah.
sounds amazing. I want to take this as my leave because we've sent two new people in and it feels like it's time to hop out and let everybody talk. Casey, thanks so much for inviting me to be on here. Brendan, Eric, Heath, it's a pleasure to
Yeah.
meet you three. And have a beautiful weekend, everyone.
Yeah. You too, Ben.
yeah, dude.
Cheers, man.
I look forward to
Dude,
connecting
I show up and everyone leaves.
again. No, dude, you're good. Everybody's been doing that. It's no big deal. So, Eric, for Brendan, you don't know, like, Eric used to have a podcast. I don't know if you still do it much, but he had a podcast where he had a counselor and then himself talking about money. And I thought that was an interesting, podcast. I used to listen to it from time to time. Those things we're talking about now that would come out and some of those kind of things when you deal with money and you're talking about with a counselor and so what are some things that popped out in some of that kind of conversation?
So actually, let me kind of bring you full speed to the present. What we're doing, Matt and I are still collaborating. We don't do the podcast anymore, and we've been kicking around this idea on not coaching, but kind of this issue where high performing professionals, entrepreneurs, we deal with a lot. And oftentimes we're successful, right? We're successful by the world's standards, right? We're making money, we have businesses, we're doing well, but we don't feel satisfied. There's this sense of unfulfillment. And it could be, and we're not really dealing with the money in this engagement when we do with clients. And him and I have collaborated in some cases like this in the past, but it could be relationally, it could be professionally, it could be, relationships with staff. How do you, as a high performing professional, as an entrepreneur, as a leader, maintain that sense of I hate to use balance because I think there's a lot of defining that needs to be done when we talk about balance in life, but I would say fulfillment. How do we do that in a healthy way? And it's funny that this is the topic of conversation. I got a call this morning. Most of my work's on the financial planning side, and as you can imagine, with the market as it is, we're having really hard conversations with people. So I get a call from a buddy of mine who's an advisor, and we spent 30 minutes, quite literally, kind of like supporting each other. Man, how are you doing? Right, and we're both fairly empathetic people, so we kind of feel our clients' pain. And I'm like, man, I was lying in bed the other morning at 2:30, and I'm sitting here thinking, holy crap! Like, what if I just gave that woman the wrong investment advice? And we're just talking about what are the truths that we know? What do we go back to that's objective that we can hold on to? That when our emotions are all over the board, we can say, no, this is we know this to be true, and this is what we're going to hold on to, and this is what we're going to share with our clients, and we're going to be strong and steady. And if we're not, any Lord of the Rings fans in here?
Oh yeah.
Lord. Okay. All right. There's a scene. You know the story, Brendan?
I'm
Lord
out.
Of the Rings? So
I just never got into it though.
It's a great show.
So here's the scene. Towards the end of the movie, they're at Mount Doom. They got the ring. It's about to be destroyed. Frodo, who's the ring bearer, is exhausted. He's beat up. He's got no more strength. And his buddy Samwise says, "I can't carry it for you, Mr. Frodo, but I can carry you." And I think that is such a beautiful picture of kind of what y'all are talking about here. And I'm late to the conversation.
Yeah.
People are carrying things. We can't fix it for them. Just can't. Right? Your staff members, your employees, your clients, they have things going on that you can't fix it, but you can help share the load. You can carry them. And I think that's a beautiful image of walking with people.
Yeah, and it gets back to kind of also the leadership aspect, right? That you can't, if you are curious, you can carry some of that for people. And it might not be all of it, but by being curious and by asking the right questions and being empathetic, you can carry that for some people in a way that is meaningful. And because life is heavy, life is very heavy for all of us, right? Like, you worry about your customers, Heath, you guys worry about you, Casey, we all have our own, right? But yet, like, you got your buddy Eric that you call, and it's like, man, yeah, like, hey, we can share, right, a little bit of this together. And like, because that matters immensely as a part of whatever journey we are on as individuals, is having a connection point, having community to share in that kind of stuff, man. I think that's so powerful.
I mean, just the other day, without going into details,
that a lot of times we don't take the time to just stop and ask people questions.
I think I have that New Orleans internet thing going on. It's a little slow. Y'all hear me?
No, you're all good.
I'm good. I was just gonna say, Brendan, just the other day, like Heath and I hop on a call without going into details, and we talked about some pretty heavy stuff, right? And and you walk away from that conversation feeling heard, feeling a little bit lighter. That the problem's not solved, but man, it's not my burden alone, right?
Yeah, and I think
Can you hear me? I don't know. I can't tell because we on Riverside you get like a delay, so I didn't know.
Y'all get that?
If you guys could hear me or not.
That's my only gripe with Riverside.
Yeah, there's a little bit of delay, but I just, I think that one of the things as I've gotten older, I just think just asking the right questions and just shutting up and listen sometimes, which is not a skill that a lot of people have. But I just think it's one of those things, like you said, Eric and I, like we got into some heavy stuff, but just, again, no problems were solved, but just, and him listen to me listen to him. Casey and I, you and I have had some of those similar conversations. Yeah. Brendan, you and I have actually had some of those conversations as well, where it just feels good just to ask the questions. And I think too many people are wired to say, oh, I'm okay. Or I'm fine, but once you probe a little deeper, like, okay, well, talk to me a little bit. I know you're going through some stuff. What's going on? And I think not enough people do that. And I think maybe it goes
Yep.
back to what, Morrow was saying, like men, maybe it's a men thing. I don't know, that we just won't, but I've talked to my wife about it. And a lot of women do the same thing. They're just, people are guarded. I think we just need to learn how to break down those walls and talk a little bit.
Well, I mean, I think if anything in our culture today, I think some of the stuff is being more normalized, which is good. Okay, I think more people are a little bit more aware than maybe 10 years ago, which is a good thing. I think also part of it as leaders, part of the traits as leaders and entrepreneurs is we tend to be ambitious individuals. We tend to be like fixers. There's a problem, there's an opportunity. We're going to solve it. We're going to take advantage of it. Right. And I think sometimes there's a humility in saying, I can't solve this problem. I don't have the tools or resources to take advantage of this opportunity. And I think that humility also can help in kind of maybe managing the expectations of outcomes, right? We have these idea for outcomes and they don't happen. And our culture tells us that we failed. Well, maybe we didn't fail, right? Maybe we were successful in another way. And the way we define it is backwards. And until you stop long enough and say, wait a minute, what's my true mission? What's my true vision? Is this in alignment with it? So maybe maybe quitting was success. Right. And
Right.
I think the older you get and the more experiences you have, you start to realize that there's some things that I can control and there's some things that I can't control. And I think there's a humility of accepting what you can't control and what's out of your control.
I think that a part of like also is, I don't know if it's a male thing that like, I don't really, to me, I think that's a cop out, but what I do believe is that if you've been through some shit, you're a whole lot more willing to explore and be curious.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be in a variety of things, right? It could be, a failed business. It could be, overcoming anxiety, depression. It could be addiction. It could be divorce. It could be a death. But when you are faced with the darkness, or some days that you can't get out of bed, or it just feels too heavy, and you are able to find tools or ask for help that first time, I think for so many people, you realize what you've been missing out on for so long. And that's maybe not the case for everybody, because certainly some people, they everyone's experiences are different. So you have these moments at different parts of your life. But for me, I thought, life was good. It was, it was hard, but it was pretty Gucci until, and then I ended up in rehab at 35. Like, shit, that sucked. But like, I'll tell you what makes you pretty, a punch to the face is ending up in rehab at 35, right? You become a whole lot more, like I had a whole lot more humility sharing a bedroom with another dude who's trying to detox off of meth. That was not on my bingo card, but I became a whole lot more curious about why I struggled, why other people struggled, and I think, again, when you're in the pits of despair, and again, it could be a variety of different things. I think we are forced to be more curious, because if you don't, it's that grief can just overtake you.
That's good.
Yeah. I was going to share too that I think somebody said earlier about being able to be equipped to like receive this information from somebody who wants to tell you something, wants to share something with you. And I had a moment recently with a good friend of mine who I'd been confiding in for a while I was going through divorce. And then something was confided in me. And it was like, all of a sudden I could kind of like see myself having that conversation and understanding what it took that person to get to a point where they felt comfortable. And there felt like there was like power in that, like not like in a weird way, but just like, if someone trusts you enough to come to you to say, and I think it sparked in my mind when the Lord of the Rings story Eric told about, like, I can't carry this for you, but I can carry you. Like, if someone trusts you enough to speak their pain to you, like they're letting you carry it for a minute. They trust you with it enough to carry it for them to just get a little bit of relief. And there's so much power in that kind of a friendship.
Oh yeah, and it's such a responsibility as well to hang on to that and not want to run to Brendan and tell Brendan that, or to run to Eric and be like, "Hey, Eric, you're not going to believe what Brendan just told me." And like, I think there's a lot of power in like holding that in, and when that person can realize, "Hey,
Yeah.
I trusted Casey with this, and he didn't tell anybody,
Yeah.
and now I feel like I can go back to him again." I think there's power in that as well, and I think that's taken for granted. People don't always do that because they want to be the first person to tell the gossip, and that's something as I've grown up, like that's not important to me anymore. It's more important that I hold my friends, secrets, so to speak, or hold their struggles and try to help them through that. Because we've all got things, and I realize that when I talk to each one of you guys, it's like when I think I'm having like the worst day ever, I'm like, oh, Casey's going through some crap too. Like maybe I don't have it so bad, or like, man, Brendan's got it bad right now. Like I need to, like, I don't have, like, I'm not that bad. And you start thinking about like we can share in that. I don't mean that to make the light up. I say it funnily, but at the same time, it's like we all go through stuff, and it's nice to be able to go through that together as a friendship, as a community, as people knowing that other people are going through some crap too. Maybe my crap's not near as bad as other people's, and I can, help somebody else through their pain. I don't know. I'm saying this really weird, but it's coming out right in my head.
So
Well, I think go ahead, Eric.
You good. Go ahead, Brendan.
I mean, dude, it's like a full circle moment, right? You finally realize that someone else is realizing how far you've come, right? And that they then trust you with their, like, they see you now as maybe not an expert, but somebody that has done and experienced those moments. And it's very validating internally because you're like, sometimes it's hard externally to look and feel like you maybe have done the work, because we're constantly maybe worried or you haven't gotten there or you're missing out. And then when someone comes to you and brings you that, you're like, hey, like I am halfway up the mountain and look at this trail I've blazed. I got someone else who's following me, man. He's asking questions and he's calling and he's looking to me for advice. Like I don't have all the answers, but damn, that feels pretty good. Like maybe I am doing the right thing. I am kind of working the right process and getting the help I need to give back to others.
So you said
something. Oh, you got Eric on the edge of his seat.
I love it. Let's go.
Dude, I'm ready to go. I think what you just said is really important. And if you're on the other side of it, like not the one who's struggling, but the one who is, let's just, for lack of a better term, the one who's stable right now, whatever, the one who feels confident and encouraged. Don't underestimate the power of an encouraging word. Don't underestimate sending a written note, just thanking someone for something really small, just sharing something about a person that you appreciate. My goodness, that can go so far in lightening someone's load, making someone feel seen, and really kind of inspiring that person to get out, to motivate them to get out of their own way, so to speak.
Yeah, dude, I love that. And I think another anyway, as we're on this, is like learning other people's struggles and whatnot. I get a whole new respect for people when I know, like I just found out about your rehab. When I know what's going on with Eric, we talked the other day. Casey and I talk on a regular basis. I know the shit y'all are going through. And I'm like, to see know the struggle and to see the kind of person you are and you see how you navigate through life and that you still, to get out of bed that morning and you still go to work, you still smile, you're still helping other people. You're still like influencing other people, doing things. To know that, I have a lot more respect for each one of you three because I know your stories and I know what's going on. And there's a lot of power in that too.
Casey's story. Casey's going to be sitting in a stadium next season with Ed Sheeran watching Wrexham play Ipswich. That's what's going to be happening. That's where Casey is, right?
I love that prediction. I love everything about it. Are you going to be there too?
No. Me and my buddy are planning a trip to London to go see Chelsea play City. So that's okay.
Well, Eric,
Eric, when is that game? I'm going to be in London here in a few weeks.
It's not. It's going to be next season.
Oh, okay.
We don't know
all right.
Go ahead.
So,
Eric,
I mean, there may be a game
Eric,
in London next week.
Eric, I don't think we've talked since I went to Wrexham, and like, it's magical. Like, it's the coolest thing in the world. Like the people there, the team. I saw a 0-0 match all the way to the 93rd minute, and
You loved
then
every
Ollie
second of it, right?
Rathbone. What?
You loved every second of it.
Oh my gosh! I wouldn't. It was magical. It was this item that I didn't know was on my bucket list until I was there, and it was like a movie. And I can't wait to go back. It was just absolutely incredible. So, yeah, man, I'm so excited that they're so
I
close to
pulled the
promotion.
conversation away from the path it was going.
That's all good. I got a boogie, but I got a call here that in 10 minutes, so I got to get ready for. So, oh, look at that, and another one's coming in. So I'm tapping out. But Eric, man, so nice to meet you.
Yeah,
Chad, what's up, man? And Heath, Casey, the OGs, man, always a pleasure.
Brendan, have a good weekend, dude. Thanks for making time.
Yeah, much love, guys. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for bringing it.